I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas.
I'm Greg Grugan in Houston.
And I'm Rudy Koski in Austin, and this is Texas. The issue is.
Early voting starts in just a couple of weeks in Texas, and I sat down with RNC co-chair Tommy Hicks to talk about how Republicans can try to take back Congress.
I'm really excited about the midterms. So if you look at what happened just recently with Texas 34, Mayra Flores, we won that seat. That's a seat that's been in Democrat hands for over a century, and she's the first Mexican-American woman ever to win a congressional seat.
What does the Republican Party have to do to take back Congress?
We're really building on our historic generational opportunity with Hispanic voters, with black voters. We are the party of freedom and prosperity for all Americans. Under President Trump's leadership and under Republican leadership in the Congress, we literally had the best growth economically we've ever seen in our country's history. We had real wage growth, like above inflation. It was unbelievable. Unemployment, all-time low. Amazing. We've got to get that back in place.
So President Biden, if he was listening to this interview, he would say unemployment is low right now. Of course, there is inflation. We saw gas prices starting to go down, but they're ticking back up. Do you think this election will be a referendum on the economy, or do you think it's a slew of issues?
Well, are you better off today than you were 20 months ago? No, you're not. And to President Biden, I would say, go pay attention to the law. Follow the law on the border. 5 million people have come across illegally. Unbelievable.
Of course, you're pro what Governor Abbott is doing as far as busing migrants to D.C. and Chicago and New York. Do you think that's a political stunt, though? I mean, they're here, which is a problem as far as those who have illegally crossed. But do you think busing them to other cities is that's not aiding or helping? Do you think that's a political stunt?
Look, people outside of Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and California don't understand exactly when they declare that they are a sanctuary city, they do not understand what that means. Martha's Vineyard now, with 50 people, now know what it means to have illegal aliens going into the country. And our country does not have the resources to handle this.
Do you think the Dobbs decision is going to energize Democrats and some Republicans who even are in favor of abortion in certain situations? Do you think the Dobbs decision will hurt Republicans in November?
I think that what the Dobbs decision did was give power back to the states, and that's what the American people, when we sign our contract, our Constitution with America, that's what we signed up for. And my personal views don't matter, but your elected officials will matter.
Senator Cornyn broke with the majority of the Republican Party in passing some type of bipartisan reforms in the wake of Uvalde. Do you think more needs to be done in reference to changes with maybe gun ages or anything like that?
Well, I think the Republican Party and our candidates typically believe in your Second Amendment rights, and that's a really good thing. And I think you can't legislate away evil. And what happened in Uvalde was awful.
But do you personally think the age should be raised from 18 to 21 to purchase an assault-style rifle?
I'm not a policymaker. I'm a person who helps Republicans win. But I think what we're doing is a good thing.
What do you think the headline will be after Election Day?
Taking back America. Republicans win.
It was a lot to unpack in that interview there. For now, Greg, what will be your one word to describe that interview?
Stephen, I'm going to go with dogmatic.
Okay. Rudy, what's your one word?
My gut reaction word initially was awkward and how that interview made me feel, but I will go more with a political miscalculation.
Okay, there's a lot to discuss. As you see, the guys are ready to talk. So the Fox Texas trio will be back to discuss that interview with RNC co-chair Tommy Hicks after this break. The Fox Texas trio is back to discuss that interview with RNC co-chair Tommy Hicks. We've covered a lot of ground, so let's start on the first issue, talking about the Republican Party being more inclusive. Greg, how true is that? Is Mayra Flores winning in South Texas a one-off for the Republican Party from a national perspective?
Stephen, I don't think so, and here's why. Republicans drew Congressional District 15 to give Monica De La Cruz a near certain victory, so that's one very likely win. Then you move to Congressional District 34, where Mayra Flores is in a bona fide rumble on the Rio Grande with Democrat Vicente Gonzalez. That race is very tight. And even pro-life Democrat Henry Cuellar has a fight on his hands with conservative Cassie Garcia. Bottom line, unlikely that Republicans will run the table in South Texas, but also unlikely they emerge empty-handed.
I know we talk a lot about Texas politics specific, but Rudy, from a national perspective, will the abortion issue be something that's going to hurt Republicans from a national perspective?
Yeah, Stephen, and I think it will, and here's why. Midterm, non-presidential year elections are notorious for low voter turnout, and the GOP national strategy seems to be based on that history. There's not a big top-of-the-ticket attraction on the ballot box, not a big name on that ballot. Now, that's why the GOP seems to be playing up crime, the economy, a lot of other things, but I believe that's a miscalculation. That's why I used that word earlier. The abortion ruling, in my opinion, has essentially become the big ticket issue, the big name on that ballot at the very top, and it's clearly holding momentum into November for Democrats. Remember, earlier this year, we were wondering if it would stick. It has stuck. We're just, a few weeks out. I think it has stuck, and it is not going to go anywhere. The pro-choice pitch may even attract, in my opinion, a large swing vote by independent and moderate Republican crossover voters who feel that the abortion ban trigger laws go too far. So I disagree with Greg. I think that there is set up for some type of upset here, and you got to watch out for it.
Greg, from a national perspective, is abortion going to be that big ticket item like Rudy's talking about?
Rudy's got to get out of Travis County occasionally. I think for sure it hurts them. All you have to do is look at the polling and what happened in Kansas. You simply can't take rights and privileges away and expect those losing them to shrug it off. So, yes, Dobbs will cost the GOP. Now, will it derail their bid to regain the House? My guess is no, it won't. But the scale of the reconquest will certainly diminish from what nearly everyone was predicting earlier this year.
I don't think
Rudy,
it's a conquest.
Go ahead.
No, I just don't think it's a conquest, guys. I think that there's a miscalculation with the GOP right now, and they are underestimating the anger. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, a lot of people are upset. It's just a matter of, and I know it's definitely a tale of two different areas, right? If you talk about abortion in Texas, where there's just generally more focus on the border, more focus on some issues that Republicans have been thriving off of. But when you look at a nationwide perspective, we'll have to wait and see if Kansas is going to be an outlier or if that's going to be a trend. Hey, Rudy, what about, do you think Texas Democrats can make any gains in Texas?
Yeah, and that's, I think, yes. Voters sometimes can get tunnel vision, right? If abortion is that shiny object that I think it is, it could provide a distraction from all of the miscues by the Biden administration and keep Democrats in control of Congress. I think that's a very real possibility. Things like claiming that the border is secure and migrants do not walk across the border, right? The president's memory problem and statements that the White House has had to walk back, the recent FBI raids that look politically motivated, inflation, OPEC cutting oil production, big issues, but they are just a few of the big issues that supported a red wave prediction before the Dobbs ruling. I think everything's changed.
And Greg, really quick, do you think that the border is something that plays nationwide, or is it just inside politics here in Texas?
Well, it's huge. No state can afford to absorb 2 million uninvited immigrants in a single year, especially with no end in sight, and neither party offering any kind of long-term solution or bipartisan compromise. I mean, does anybody think what's happening now is sustainable?
That's true. We're going to have to leave it there. To look at this interview or any of our other interviews, head to our station's YouTube channels.
and keep the conversation going by our social media sites.
Now, next Sunday on Texas The Issue Is, I sit down with Democrat candidate for Attorney General Rochelle Garza. We will see you then, and be sure to let us know what you think the issue is.